GHOne Television. We're live from our studios here at the Platinum Place, live on Facebook, on X, and also on YouTube at GHOne TV. Now, here's what to expect in the next 60 minutes. 2025-2026 Ghana Bar Association Conference opens with the Attorney General accusing the Ghana Bar Association of inconsistencies in its posture on national issues, and the GBA president also questioning processes leading to the removal of CJ Tokono.
Based upon the same constitutionally defined procedures were brought in respect of the removal from office of the former Chief Justice. The question we have to ask ourselves is, what changed?
It ends up being an unfortunate precedent, which is fairness, a situation that calls for redress, if indeed we are custodians of justice.
Also in the bulletin, stay with us because we've bring you major talking points, including Galamsey and Abronya's remand from day one of the conference. NPP Bono Regional Chairman granted bail in the sum of 50,000 cedis with one surety not to be justified. Foreign Affairs Minister proposes trading Ghana's presidential jet for a new one if it's not fit for purpose.
Our presidential jet is in pristine condition. It is not right to be chartering £18,000, $20,000 an hour.
We'll also be taking you to the Ashanti region where we know that the final funeral rites for the Asanteman is taking place. But in business, Energy Minister advocates collaboration by African countries with petroleum resources to end energy poverty. And on the foreign front, 2 men jailed for attempting. Well, we've got the details of these and more in the bulletin. Kindly stay with us. Well, grateful for your company this evening. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Let's start with Insight. Well, for Insight tonight, we are shining the spotlight on the 2025-2026 conference of the Ghana Bar Association, where President of the Association, Efua Gate, believes the processes leading to Chief Justice removal poses serious questions about fairness and transparency. Now, while acknowledging that the Constitution provides for the removal of Superior Court judges, she argued that the lack of clear procedural rules leaves the process open to arbitrariness. You recall that the GBA had on April 30, 2025, passed a resolution calling for the immediate enactment of clear and comprehensive regulations to guide proceedings under Article 146, especially in cases involving the impeachment or removal of Superior Court justices. Now, speaking at the GBA's annual General Conference, the President stressed that the absence of these regulations, particularly in the removal of the country's fourth highest office holder, was troubling.
The Constitution of the Ghana Bar Association enjoins us to protect the independence of the judiciary. This is a duty the association does not take lightly, and from time immemorial, the bar has fiercely performed this duty. My learned friends, we are all aware that Article 146 of our 1992 Constitution has come under severe scrutiny in recent times. For the first time under the Fourth Republic, it's been evoked in respect of a Chief Justice. The position of the bar must be stated clearly in this regard. The bar recognizes the fact that the power of removal can be exercised under Article 146. but the bar's major concern relates to the process. It is commonly said that justice should not only be done, but manifestly be seen to have been done. The lack of an enactment for such rules in the case of the removal of the fourth highest person in the nation should be a matter of concern for all of us. These rules should have been known to all and sundry before the commencement of the process, as it greatly affects the standard to be met. It ends up being an unfortunate precedent which lacks fairness, a situation that calls for redress, if indeed we are custodians of justice. We all deserve justice.
Well, the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine, has questioned the consistency of the Ghana Bar Association in speaking about matters of public and national interest. Now, speaking at the opening ceremony of the 2025-2026 Bar Conference in WA, Dr. Ayine pointed out that the Bar Association remained silent when Article 146 provisions were previously acted upon, but has suddenly spoken out. This remark refers to the controversy surrounding the suspension and subsequent removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tokono following petitions of misconduct.
Our role in politics must be guided by principle, not partisanship. When lawyers descend into the arena of raw politics without restraint, we risk undermining the very foundation of our professional credibility. We must remember that our allegiance is first and foremost to the Constitution and this Republic, not to transient political interests. The advocacy of the bar as a professional group has lacked consistency, bringing into question its adherence to principle. When in 2015, an Article 146 petition was received by the Chief Justice in relation to the former chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Madame Loretta Lamte, the bar failed to speak out about process. In the run-up to the 2016 elections, the then opposition New Patriotic Party engaged the Electoral Commission in court battles over the voter identification system. This gave rise to the Abu Ramadan line of cases. Immediately upon assuming office in 2017, an Article 146 petition was filed for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and her deputies from office. The bar saw no basis to speak out about compliance with due process. But in recent times, the bar found its voice when petitions based upon the same constitutionally defined procedures were brought in respect of the removal from office of the former Chief Justice, Mrs. Gertrude Araba Tokono. Ladies and gentlemen, the honest question we have to ask ourselves is, what changed?
So that's the Attorney General asking the question, what changed? But still at the Bar Conference, President of the Bar Association, Ifwagate, she's called on President Mahama to collaborate with the association in upholding the rule of law and strengthening the country's democratic foundations. Now, according to her, the association remains committed to ensuring justice, equality and fairness for all citizens. But let's get more clarity from the PRO of the Ghana Bar Association, Xavier Kodjo, who's joining us to have a conversation on this one. Xavier, thank you so much for joining us. So let's start from where the Attorney General left off, talking about inconsistencies by the GBA. That seems to resonate with some Ghanaians exactly. How do you respond to that?
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. I agree with that, Attorney General. The reason I disagree, I will use examples given in his own speech to make my point. I was in the auditorium where he delivered his speech, and he have just played the soundbite. He gave an example of the removal of a former Church boss, Madame Loretta Lamte, under Article 146 in 2015. In 2015, NDC was in power, led by President John Mahama. Am I right or wrong? Moving forward, in 2017, he gave the example of the former EC boss, Madame Charlotte Osei, being removed under Article 146 by President Akufo-Addo. MPP was in power. Where lies the bias? So is it because in the first two instances and relative to the removal of other Superior Court judges earlier under Article 146, we did not see the need to call for regulations to be made to govern the process. We can no longer make it. I don't think that is the position. The fact that you failed to make a decision yesterday does not bar you from making it today or in the future, especially if you want a successful future, because every human being evolves. That is why society itself evolves. Other than that, you will not grow, you will not develop.
How does the association view such comments, especially when it has to do with no less a body than the Ghana Bar Association, which, like we heard from your president, is looking at justice, equality, fairness, and all of those qualities?
Yes, that is why I gave you the example that Attorney General himself gave. In the previous instance, we didn't speak on any of them, admitted. But going forward, must we do it the same way? Let us not operate as if regulations have been made as we are calling for and is being applied in a skewed manner in favor of a certain group of people. That hasn't happened. If we think that that is what we have to say, then let us wait for the regulations to be made for us to assess how it will be applied. Because so far, in principle, there's been an agreement, even by the Attorney General himself, that there ought to be some regulations or some evaluation to the procedure to be observed. What we're saying, don't forget, we are not saying that Article 146 does not give power to the president to do what he's supposed to do. The president has that power per that provision in the Constitution. But what we're saying is that we must have a detailed procedure by way of regulation as to how that procedure should be observed.
Right. But Xavier, I mean, this is not the first time you're hearing these allegations thrown at the Ghana Bar Association. So I'm asking, what measures or steps is the association also taking to, deal with such allegations leveled against you?
I am happy you are using the word allegations. Don't forget that Attorney General today in his speech said our decision calling for regulations to be made coincided with the Cuba party, which to me connotes that it wasn't intentional. If not, he wouldn't have used the word coincidental or coincided with. Let me give you an example. In 2023, you were in this country when President Mahama went to Akosombo at the NDC Lawyers Forum and made allegations against the then President Akufo-Addo that he was appointing MPP-inclined judges. What did we do? We condemned him. When President Akufo-Addo in that came at our conference to address us, he condemned President Mahama. We agreed with him. But when he went beyond that, advising well-meaning voters of Ghana to vote against President Mahama just because then a candidate or a candidate to be, just because he made allegations against him, we condemned him. That our conference could not be used as a platform to campaign. What else do you expect of your professional lawyers in that profession? Let us stop the politics and move forward.
Right.
Attorney General is the official leader of the bar. So he leads us. Whether we are rotten or good, he's our leader. As a leader, he should rather assist us to solve our problems. Because leaders are meant to solve problems.
Right.
A problem solver is a leader. So he can be a leader without a title once you solve problems.
Okay. But Xavier, what's the posturing of this new leadership of the Ghana Bar Association in handling matters of this nature? Because we know that the former leadership was bent on not releasing statements and rather engaging in dialogue because that was the style. What was the style for this new leadership? Yeah,
in fact, you were right to some extent. I was in the former administration or former leadership. We were combining both.
Okay.
But very sensitive issues were engaging. So we are still doing engagement because what do we want? We want resolution. Even as lawyers, you don't run to court. Sometimes we are in court. We do out of court settlement. Why are you in court? You want a solution also. So that is it.
Okay.
That is why I said leaders solve problems. Right. It doesn't matter how it is done. Once the process of solving the problem is legitimate.
Xavier, thank you so much for engaging with us. Let's speak to Justice Abdullahi on the development or the fallout from the conference of the Ghana Bar Association. Counsel, thank you so much for joining us. So hearing the Attorney General talk about the allegations of bias and the posturing of this GBA on national issues, among others, really, how does all of that come to you?
Well, I think these are grave concerns that have been raised by Ghanaians over the years as to how the Ghana Bar Association has become almost like a tool for a section of the political divide against a particular political divide, if you like. And these concerns have been well drummed home. And I mean, without mentioning words, it appears that the Ghana Bar Association has become really much of an appendage of the MPP political party as against the NDC, which is a complete departure from the Ghana Bar Association that as kids we all yearned to be part of. That was, stood against nepotisms, corruption, intolerance, and political abuses. But now it's as if being a lawyer is actually being an MPP rather than being a lawyer and belonging to the Ghana Bar Association. So this is what it has become.
But how do you draw those conclusions? Do you have, can you substantiate these claims?
So as I was saying, it appears that perhaps part of this is because of the recent history of the Bar Association, i.e. the era of GHOne and all the negatives that were associated with being a military leader and all of that. And so it looked as though over the years, almost every lawyer tilted in favor of the anti-Rawlings regime. And that has sort of come to stay until, and now instead of evolving to respond to the needs of today, it's as if we are still in slumber and still feel we are in that same era, except that now we no longer see anything wrong. We do not see, in fact, nothing gets wrong. Right. We don't see anything wrong. We don't feel anything wrong until once again the NDC rather assumes office or a member of the NDC does something wrong. This is how I have come to realize the Bar Association of the last couple of years. And it's not something that is desirable at all.
All right. So, Justice Abdullahi, kindly hold for me because there are quite a number of issues that also came up at the Bar Conference, topical among them being the issue with Abronya. Let's listen to the president of the GBA speak to that matter, and I'll pick your thoughts on that because Efua Gate, she has strongly condemned the reasoning provided by Circuit Court Judge for remanding the NPP's Bono Regional Chairman Kwame Bafo Abronya. Now, speaking at the opening of the 2025 Bar Conference at WA, Efua Gate noted that such actions have the propensity of eroding the gains of Ghana's justice system.
Colleagues, I do not speak in a vacuum. I speak about the recent ruling given in a case in the Circuit Court Accra, a ruling which would have been roundly condemned by a cross-section of Ghanaians, and it is so being done. Indeed, we have a lot of work to do, and we must constantly remain vigilant if we want to remain a constitutionally democratized country. Our country's democracy cannot be based on warped philosophy and the totalitarianism preached in the book Animal Farm. Our 92 Constitution is based on equality before the law, and that should be our creed. The Latin is omnis ante legum oris sumus, which means we are all equal before the law.
Right, so that's the president of the Ghana Bar Association, Efua Gate. But still with Abronya, we know that he's been granted bail by the court in the sum of some 50,000 Ghana cedis, and that comes with one surety without justification. And that's the latest on the situation with Abronya. But let's go back to Zoom. Justice Abdullahi is still on Zoom with us. So this is one issue that has received quite a lot of condemnation in terms of the judgment on Abronya. Where do you sit?
Indeed. Let's situate this whole matter. I think we need to recognize that it's not the denial of the bail that is of the issue. It is the basis upon which the judge denied the bail that has become a matter of concern. And I think for those who do not appreciate this is how they should understand it from. Because the discretion to admit a person to bail or not is entirely within the bosom of the judge. And the judge could have simply denied the bail without even offering reasons. And that would have sufficed for it without much to say. Similarly, he could have just granted the bill without even adding a single letter or word to the grant, the order of the grant. And so, but the issues that the judge referred to and the grounds based upon which he denied the bill is the basis for all the condemnations that we have witnessed over the last couple of days. And unfortunately, once again, for me, I would have wished that the Ghana Bar Association was arguably one of the first institutions or organizations or associations to have come out clearly, openly, with a communique condemning the grounds upon which the judge refused the bill application, rather than waiting after the fact. This, for me, appears to be one of such matters that it is only when one feels that it's like we are following the bandwagon rather than being the leader.
So for you, the Ghana Bar Association should have taken the lead when this first broke out.
That's my whole point. We shouldn't be following the bandwagon and condemning because everybody else is condemning it. We should be seen to be in the lead position on matters of this nature. And we should be seen to be doing so without respect to political affiliations, which has become the perception over the period, which are condemned once again. And so this is my view of this whole matter. I'm told that the judge has retired. It's unfortunate that he veered off onto all those extraneous matters rather than focusing on the basis for refusal or granting of bail, because the law is clear as to how or why you should grant bail or refuse bail. The law is abundantly clear, and it's within his discretion to refuse the bail, and he could have refused it. But now it has become an issue, and now making the whole thing look like he was acting as an appendage of the executive or even the IG, which ought not to have been so. But unfortunately, this is where we are, and I join in the condemnation. Belated as it may be, I think it was wrongful for him to have given those grounds as a basis for the refusal of the bill rather than relying on the law.
Counsel, thank you so much for engaging with us. That's Justice Abdullahi on the matter. But let's get on phones now and speak to lead counsel for Abronye. Lawyer Mate is joining us on phone to help us appreciate where we are with the securing bail for Abronye. Counsel, thank you so much for your time. So have you been able to secure bail for your clients as we speak?
Good evening, and good evening to your cherished viewers. To answer your question, yes, we've been able to secure bail for our clients. The bail condition 50,000 Ghana cedis with one surety without any justification.
Right. And how's your client doing?
He wasn't in the best of condition when I saw him, and as I speak to you, we've been able to meet the bail conditions, and he's out. The family tells me they will pass by a health facility, get him checked there before they finally move home. So that is the update on my client.
So we can confirm that he's no longer in custody as we speak?
100%. I can confirm that for you, that my client is no more in custody.
Right. And so what's the way forward?
He who alleges must prove. So, as defense counsel, we will patiently wait. Whatever allegation made against my client, we will wait for disclosures. If there are evidence to be forwarded to us, we will look at it, we will advise ourselves, and then we take the legal steps.
Very well. Well, counsel, thank you so much, and congratulations as well for being able to secure bail for a client. So that's Daniel Mate, lead counsel for Kwame Bafo Abronye, who was given bail in the sum of 50,000 cedis with one surety not to be justified. What we are picking up is that his lawyers have been able to meet that bail condition, and clearly he would be visiting the health facility because there are some concerns about his health, but then he's no longer in custody as we speak. Well, that's it for Insight. Thank you so much for staying on with us here on News Tonight. Let's do some more stories. And let me talk about the Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who has objected to the chartering of private jets at expensive rates if the current presidential jet is in pristine condition. According to the minister, the president's travel on commercial flights causes no inconvenience. Taking his turn at Government Accountability Series, he spoke on varied issues, including Ghana's decision to accept U.S. deportees, illegal mining and passport reforms. There's more in the report.
Mr. Ablakwa highlighted that Ghana received some 14 West African deportees, mainly from Nigeria, on compassionate grounds with no benefits attached. This follows the U.S. president's quest to get rid of illegal migrants.
The strict understanding we have with the Americans is that we are only going to take West Africans. We made it clear to the Americans that we will not accept $1. We don't want any, because it comes with some financial burden, hosting them, taking care of the accommodation and all of that before they transition to their countries. But we said that we will not, because it could be misconstrued and the impression could be created that we are doing this for some other motive, some financial objective. We are not seeking any financial gain at all, and we have stated that under no circumstance will we accept any financial reward for accepting. We just could not continue to take the suffering of our fellow West Africans. And remember that West Africans can come to our country visa-free.
Taking his turn at Government Accountability Series at the presidency, Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa touched on one of the most controversial issues, the presidential jets. According to the minister, who led a campaign against the chartering of expensive private jets by the Nana Addo administration, he remains resolute against any attempt to purchase a new presidential jet when the current one has been assessed and approved for use. However, he believes the current one can be traded for a new one as part of cost-cutting measures.
Some people clearly want to justify certain actions of the past and whitewash. I still maintain when a presidential jet is in pristine condition, it is not right to be chartering £18,000, $20,000 an hour charter jet. We come into public office to protect the purse and to do our best to be measured and to be frugal. President Akufo-Addo himself promised us at his inauguration that he was coming to protect the public purse. So I do not see why some people want to use this as some opportunity to settle political scores and to come after me in the most unfair manner.
On matters of illegal mining, the Foreign Affairs Minister bemoaned the continued degradation of lands and forests. He stressed the need to enforce laws, arrest and prosecute perpetrators in order to safeguard the environment.
This Galamsey menace is really a menace that all of us must confront, and it aches my heart. It gives all of us sleepless nights. It is an existential threat we face, and if we don't deal with it boldly and ruthlessly, we are virtually on a suicidal path. And the little we can do as foreign ministry, making sure that at least we stop suspicious characters from coming in, we are doing that. Of course, we are not responsible for going into the field and removing those who are engaged in that. We have other ministries who are capable and competent in dealing with the ground menace.
The minister also noted that since assuming office, deliberate efforts have been made to streamline passport acquisition. He stated that Ghanaians abroad will soon be able to receive their passports on the day of application.
Efforts are in place to open 7 additional passport application centers to cover the 6 new regions and Bolgatanga, the capital of the Upper East region. These parks will be opened this year. I am glad to note that the Bolgatanga Passport Application Center will be fully operational next month, October. I know our compatriots in the Upper East have been agitating for this, and I'm glad that next month your suffering will be over. We apologize to you for all the stress and the hassle, but the wait is over. Next month, I will personally be in Bolga to open this new park.
Well, so while the minister is chronicling achievements being made by his the Mahama administration, the National Union of Ghana Students, NUGS, in Cuba is set to demonstrate on Wednesday, September 17, 2025, over 17-month stipend delay. You recall the stranded students recently called on President John Mahama to intervene in what they describe as crisis facing Ghanaian medical students studying in the country. They explained that despite repeated appeals to the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat, no meaningful response has been received. According to the students, worsening economic conditions in Cuba had made life unbearable. And according to NUGS executives, needy students were suffering humiliation and anxiety as a result of debts owed to foreign colleagues. They describe the situation as not just financial, but a humanitarian emergency, stressing that these students were future doctors who are now struggling to survive. Well, let's get on Zoom now and speak to David Intiri, who is NUGS Cuba president, and Lord Mensah, who is president of the Global Union of Ghanaian Scholars and president of National Union of Ghana Students UK, to get to appreciate the situation in Cuba with the students who are studying there, medical students who have not been paid stipends for 17 months. And we are told also that they've also not received their book allowances, which is making life very unbearable for them. So let's connect to them on Zoom and have a conversation on the situation there. So David, talk to me about really how bad the situation is with your colleagues in Cuba.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on your platform. Greetings to viewers. So currently in Cuba, we find ourselves 17 months without our stipends and 5 years without our book allowance. And as indicated in our media release, we have made efforts, we have contacted our sponsors, and from April to now, there has not been any strong solution to our problem. So from April, we had contact with the registrar, and to August through to September, we've not received our funds. And the difficulty now is that we've resumed with classes and we don't have money for transportation. We don't have money for food. We don't have money to purchase data, which currently the prices are that high. And so we are struggling a lot here in Cuba, and we've done our part. We've engaged our sponsors through from April through to June, July, August, September, and currently we are still suffering.
Right. And so how are your colleagues basically dealing with the situation there?
The situation is very difficult, and we don't have money to board buses to school, and we are forced to walk 10 kilometers to get to school. So we have to be in school at 8 a.m. And so you have to make sure that by 6 a.m., 6:30 you're up, so that you start the long journey from 7 to 8. And then also we don't have money to purchase data, which are quite expensive currently. Currently, 30 USD is equivalent to about 16 gigabytes, which in previous times was not the case. And then also with reference to the currency we are using over here, there has been a depreciation of the currency. Prices of gold here in Cuba have also increased. So we are at this position where currency has dropped, prices have increased, and we do not even have the funds to survive.
And David,
we are forced to engage our international students.
But David, what have you been told as to why there's been this delay in the release of stipends?
Yeah, to understand better, I'll start from April. So April, we had a Zoom meeting with our sponsors, and they promised that 2 weeks after we are going to receive something. So 2 weeks came, we didn't receive anything. And we were told we should wait till the first week of June. We knew it was a process that needs to pass through bureaucratic measures before we receive our funds. June came, we engaged our sponsors again. Then they told us they were working on it. Eventually, they mentioned they had sent funds. Right. And as of date, we are still without stipends. We are still without our funds. And that is the current situation now.
And we are in September. You still haven't received the stipends. And so you say on Wednesday you're demonstrating. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so we are going to undergo a peaceful demonstration, all to amplify this issue at hand, because currently it's so unbearable. It's difficult to go through the day. We cannot even think of the next week because we don't know how we are going to get through this week. We don't need help in a week's time. We don't need help in 2 days' time. We need help now. We need help right this moment because we are struggling, we are suffering. And in Cuba here, we don't have the luxury of working. So there's not a way of finding a side hustle that you could get funds from. Right. We depend solely on our stipends, of which we've been through 17 months and 5 years of book allowance. And it's affecting everything as far as our students here are concerned. It's affecting our academic work. It's affecting our day-to-day living, mental breakdown, financial breakdown. So we are suffering all spheres. And that is why we think the demonstration will amplify our concerns so that the authorities come to our aid now.
David, thank you. Thank you so much. David Interior is NUC's president in Cuba, highlighting the challenges that his colleagues are facing in that country. 17 months, no stipends have been paid to them, and they are demonstrating on Wednesday to drum home their concerns. But away from that, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey has urged President John Dramani Mahama to immediately declare a targeted state of emergency in areas hardest hit by illegal mining. Citing constitutional provisions, the coalition says the scale and persistence of environmental crime, which is depriving communities of safe water and threatening public safety, now meets the threshold for extraordinary action.
Article 31(9)(a) and (b), the circumstances under which a state of emergency may be declared include the current Galamsey situation, in which the actions being taken by the environmental criminals are calculated to deprive large communities of potable water, which is an essential of life. It also renders necessary the taking of measures which are required for securing the public safety, the defense of Ghana, and the maintenance of public order and of supplies and essentials to the life of the community. We are beyond the last resort, and His Excellency, Mr. President, please, you should immediately declare a state of emergency in parts of the country, not in all of the country, not in the entire district, but in parts of the country that are required to save Ghanaians as prescribed by the Constitution. A Constitution you have agreed to uphold. The President must provide the nation with milestones and timelines to serve as a guide for continued action and demonstration of the government's commitment. Just to tell us that the committee has been formed, it's not adequate. We need a lot of transparency. We need a lot of details.
Well, still on the issues of illegal mining, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Gold Board, Sami Gyamfi, has disclosed the rollout of an upcoming initiative that will ensure value chain traceability in the gold trade sector. At a brief ceremony where an amount of 5 million Ghana cedis and 5 Toyota Hilux pickups were donated to the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat to assist the fight against the deadly menace, Sami Gyamfi disclosed that the Gold Board is dedicated to supporting NIMOS deal ruthlessly with recalcitrant persons who are hell-bent on engaging in illegal and irresponsible mining.
Fights against Galamsey has received a significant boost following a donation of 5 million Ghana cedis and 5 Toyota Hilux pickups from the Ghana Gold Board to the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS. Making the presentation, Chief Executive Officer of Gold Board, Sami Gyamfi, reaffirmed government's commitment to deal decisively with individuals and groups who continue to engage in illegal and irresponsible mining activities. He further announced upcoming initiatives to ensure value chain traceability in the gold trade sector and the formalization of small-scale mining.
We are committed to supporting the cooperative mining scheme launched by the minister, which is aimed at formalizing the small-scale sector, ensuring that all these young men who, in search of a livelihood, are engaged in illegal mining, are brought together as cooperatives in their communities, licensed, trained, and regulated to do mining in a responsible and sustainable manner.
Receiving the donation, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofibua, assured that government will not relent in the fight against the illegal mining menace until all devastated forests are turned green and polluted water bodies turned blue.
Legally has a right to step foot in any river or any forest reserve in Ghana to do mining. So please, this education is an appeal to the media to support us. While you criticize government, support us in the education as well. I thank you.
Thank you so much.
The donation is expected to enhance logistical and operational capacity of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, providing both financial and mobility support to intensify nationwide anti-Galamsey operations.
All right, you're still watching News Tonight here on GHOne Television. Let's bring you the latest in the world of business.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Now, the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, Dr. GHOne, has expressed deep concern over the alarming level of energy poverty across Africa, describing the situation as worrisome. Now, despite the continent's abundance of petroleum resources, he lamented that the people living closest to these resources often reside in abject poverty. Dr. GHOne therefore called for a paradigm shift to ensure that the vulnerable populations who are the rightful owners of these resources benefit fully from them. He made these remarks at the 7th meeting of the Forum of African Petroleum Producers Organization's National Oil Companies CEOs.
During his keynote address at the forum, Minister Dr. GHOne decried the unavailability of electricity to over 600 people across the continent. He urged effective collaboration, partnerships, and practical measures to enhance the transformation and utilization of Africa's petroleum resources.
One problem that Africa faces is that the ordinary African do not feel part of the oil resource. Over 600 million people in Africa do not have access to electricity. Over 1 billion do not have access to clean cooking. And yet the continent has a huge potential when it comes to oil and gas. Over 630 trillion TCF of gas. And as far as we are concerned, gas will continue to serve as transition fuel.
Speaking on the sidelines of the forum, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Kwame Nto-Amoah, indicated that Ghana has made a 25% financial commitment to the establishment of the Continental Energy Bank and urged other countries to fulfill their commitments.
Ghana has paid about 25% of the required amount, and we expect that with Nigeria and Angola, we can at least start the project. We can start the African Energy Bank, which is headquartered in Nigeria. You know, every country has to pay 83 million. So we paid last year about 25% of that, which is about $20 million. So we are encouraging the other countries, you know, to also come up with their subscriptions, and then it will be supported by the Afri-Exim Bank, which will match whatever we put in there.
For his part, the Secretary General of the African Petroleum Producers Organization, Dr. Omar Farouk Ibrahim, emphasized that the time has come for the continent to develop its own technology for petroleum exploration.
We are looking at the challenges that are common to the African oil and gas industry, challenges that our national oil companies are facing, essentially challenges of technology. If you look at our national oil companies, Virtually all of them are heavily dependent on foreign technology to explore, to produce, to refine and market their oil and gas. This is unacceptable, especially in an era of global energy transition, where those on whom we have been relying for...
The forum, attended by CEOs of all petroleum-producing countries in Africa and stakeholders in the sector, aims to design tailored policy directions for the continent to harness its petroleum resources for the benefit of all.
Well, that's it for business on the bulletin. We'll bring you sports right after this.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Good business means
For joining me here on Sports Brief, I am Monica Bukhari. Let's begin with Black Stars. And shortstopper Lawrence Atizigi has reached a major milestone in his career with Swiss side. The Black Stars goalkeeper marked his 200th appearance for the club, cementing his place as one of their most reliable performers. It was another proud moment for the Ghana international Lawrence Atizigi as he lined up between the sticks for FC St. Gallen on Saturday as they hosted Lugano at home and recorded a 1-0 victory. The 29-year-old Ghanaian goalkeeper was adjudged man of the match as he made crucial saves to clear the back for his side. Atizigi was also named in the Team of the Week since joining the Swiss Super League side outfit in 2020. Atizigi has established himself as undisputed number one, winning admiration for his agility, reflexes, and commanding presence in goal. The Ghana international has also played a pivotal role in St. Gallen's campaign across the league and cup competitions, often producing match-winning saves. At 29, he remains a vital figure for both club and country. Now, 19-year-old Ghanaian midfielder Caleb GHOne has been named Danish Superliga Young Player of the Month after a brilliant start with FC Nordsjælland. GHOne has already registered a goal and 2 assists, earning praise for his vision, dynamism, and technical quality. The award highlights his growing reputation as one of Ghana's most promising talents in Europe as he looks to maintain his fine form throughout the season. With the season still in early stages, GHOne will be aiming to maintain his fine form and play a decisive role in Nordsjælland's campaign. And that's all for sports. My name is Monica Bukhari. Back to you, Joshua.
Many thanks, Monica, for bringing us the latest in the world of sports. And shortly, we'll be taking you to the capital of the Ashanti region, where the 4-day funeral rites of the late Asanteman and Akunedu Yaram III commenced today, marking a significant moment in Ashanti tradition and culture. The Asanteman's 14th Queen Mother joined her ancestors aged 98 after reigning for 8 years. The 4-day Asante State funeral, which commenced today, will end on Thursday. Ashanti regional correspondent Isaac Justice Bediakon has more. So what we do know is that on day 1 of the Asanteman's funeral, the fetish priest of the region opened the event with cleansing rituals to ward off any evil spirit. Officials from the Sumankwahene's palace chanted incantations and used ritual objects to appeal to the gods for clear skies and no rainfall. The funeral was graced by the Archbishop Emeritus Kwesi Sapon, former President John Ajakumkufor, clergy from the Ashanti region, and various heads of corporate institutions in the region. Monday was dedicated to churches and clergy, political parties, educational institutions, NGOs, telecom companies, corporate institutions, recognized associations, and the public. A court in Zambia sentenced 2 men to 2 years in prison for attempting to use witchcraft to kill the president. Zambian Leonard Piri and Mozambican Justin Mabulisi Kandunde were convicted under the Witchcraft Act after being arrested in December with charms in their possession, including a live chameleon. The case has been closely followed in Zambia, as this was the first time anyone was put on trial for attempting to use witchcraft against the president. The prosecution alleged that Piri and Kandunde were hired by a fugitive former MP to bewitch Hiklema. Despite their insistence that they were bona fide traditional healers, the court found them guilty on 2 counts under the Witchcraft Act. Well, that's all in this package of the news here on GH1 television. There's more for you at starfm.com.gh. But remember, at 9 p.m., State of Affairs is live on your channel, GH1 television. We'll be talking illegal mining and also looking at aviation safety. You don't want to miss that at 9 p.m. here on GH1 television. Do have a wonderful evening.